So Bryce, before we got on just now, we were just talking about I haven't talked to you in about a year or two now. And last time I
Yeah.
talked to you, you were kind of you were doing music, but you weren't doing music to the scale that you are now. So what I hear is that you're doing music full time essentially, right?
Pretty much. I'm doing it like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm recording music. I'm doing all that fun stuff.
What's that been like?
Really, really chaotic. Because obviously like I have a full-time like job. I'm a nail tech, so I do that during the day. Um, to fund this obsession with music and this passion for it. And then I immediately run to like my gigs. So I'll be out till 1, 2 in the morning with people, doing like gigs and all that fun stuff. And then I turn around and I work the next day and I do it all over again.
Right, yeah. What's the reception been like? Because like I mentioned, I know you, we went to school together actually. And I know that you're from and grew up on the Cape. And a lot of times, like if you're getting those gigs in those local settings, especially somewhere like Cape Cod where everyone's like it's like a tight-knit community, have you
Very.
had like a pretty good reception and like been able to build up like a decent following?
Yeah, I mean like it was very hard at first. So being a girl in music is so hard. Especially on the Cape because you know, you don't want to say this, but it's kind of incestuous where like everybody kind of has like their specific people that play every single week.
Hmm.
And like I've tried to get gigs and I've actually been told like, oh, sorry, we already have our girl. Like,
Mm,
so we're not gonna like add on, but then they have like 6 guys like playing all week.
oh boy.
Um, so like that's definitely been really, really hard in like getting gigs. It's been a lot of like going and playing for free and then like letting the crowd kind of speak for itself. And I mean,
Okay.
the reception from the crowd has been amazing. Like, I gain followers like almost every single gig, which is so awesome. And that's generally like how I get hired. Is just like the positive reception. And now I'm starting to get like regulars who come to my gigs all the time, like to come see me if they see I'm playing somewhere. Um, like I played at Cape Cod Beer this past weekend, and it was so sweet because there were so many familiar faces of like different people who all come to see me.
Yeah.
I was like, my heart.
Oh my God, that must feel so good seeing those people that are staying loyal to you and to listen to your music.
Exactly. It's so nice.
And something too that we talked about when I last talked to you a year ago was how you originally got into music. And your story I love still to this day. That was the reason I first asked you about music. So would you mind sharing a little bit about like the background with your mom and how you got into music like originally?
So, the way I actually got into music originally was I was younger and I could sing and stuff. And my music teacher was like, you should get her in singing lessons. Like, she can sing. And my parents were like, yeah, okay.
Like no.
And then as I got older, they kind of realized, oh no, like she actually can sing. So, my parents slowly started to move me into like chorus and like all of this kind of stuff. And then as I got older, like Taylor Swift kind of came on the scene.
Hmm.
So I really wanted to learn how to play guitar. So my mom put me in guitar lessons and I tried to quit after a month because it hurt and I didn't like it. And she made me do it 6 months.
Okay.
And I ended up like, I love it. I'm 12 years plus later now and like I still love it. And then I kind of turned away from music a little bit. Probably a little bit through high school and a little into college. And then my mom was diagnosed with leukemia and lymphoma. And that was really, really, really hard on my family. It was really hard on me. And it really made me kind of sit back and be like, what's something I'm really passionate about? What's something I want to do with my life that like no one can take away from me? And so I actually started to kind of turn back to music as soon as she was diagnosed because it was something that allowed me to escape and allowed me to be who I wanted to be and just be upset and sad and play and do that kind of thing. It inspired one of the songs I'm recording right now.
Oh, no
Um,
way.
yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think so many people can relate to a story like that because music is a muse for so many people. And like you said, just letting yourself be vulnerable and be upset and just letting whatever those feelings are come out through music is like totally inspiring.
Exactly. And it's nice because it's something you can do by yourself.
Hmm.
Like, because obviously when you're upset, the last thing you want to do is like invite everyone into your chaos.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's nice to like just sit in your room and just be upset and be able to like just sit and play guitar, sit and play music, like, and just be in yourself and
Hmm.
not invite anyone into your
Right. Yeah.
chaos.
Like you said, have that moment for yourself. And like, I love how you eloquently said it. It's like music is yours and no one can take that away.
Exactly.
But it's funny also thinking about that because you have been doing gigs by yourself and kind of been establishing yourself as a solo artist. But
Mhm.
you also told me recently you've been hooking up with this band, like you've been starting to play some gigs. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
Like, how did that kind of happen?
So I started playing with this band called the Waywards.
Hmm.
It was kind of like a weird turn of events. So I've done like charity events and stuff. So I did this charity Inspiration is Everywhere, and I met like a bunch of guys in this kind of gambit of music to do like this charity event. And it was really, really sweet because the guys all thought I was just so talented. And obviously, once you start to meet one person, you kind of start networking and you meet all of these other people, especially when the
Yeah.
Cape is a tight knit music group, where like you may not know the person, but you know the person.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, my friend Lee and my friend Bill hooked up with this guy Josh, and we're like, hey, we have this girl. She's really, really talented. Like, we'd love to have her come sing, and like we'd love to start a band.
Hmm.
And so I came in and the first like day, and they were like, yep, we found our singer, like this is fine.
That's
And
awesome.
it's so cool too because like it's I would say everybody probably has about 30 years on me in
Oh
the
boy.
band. So it's like having a bunch of uncles and like grandfathers like taking care of me. But
Aw.
then it's also like hundreds of years of music experience all in one band.
Hmm.
And I'm learning so much from all of these guys of how to play with other people, how to like make music, how to do like all these different things because they just have so much experience, and it's a really amazing thing for me.
Hmm. I was gonna say to add on to that, you could also bring your own experience because I'm still like getting over the fact what you said earlier about being a girl on the Cape and like being a female musician. Like you probably have things that you've experienced that these guys haven't that you could bring to the table, and also things you're learning.
Yeah. I mean, like I've had some interesting experiences being a girl. I mean, I've had men follow me to my car
Oh God.
after a gig. I've had like crazy things happen, and like so those kind of things, it's nice because I like tell the guys, and so that's like what makes them so protective of me.
Hmm.
um but I think my experience too is just like the hard work of
Hmm.
like pushing and pushing and pushing and like finally getting something.
Yeah.
um because like obviously that's something that a lot of guys like don't really experience
Hmm.
um in this like realm.
Hmm.
They just like walk in and they're like, I got the gig.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like thinking about it on a grander scale too. Like that's stuff that happens in the music industry in general.
Mhm.
Like I think if you were to ask any female artists that, especially aspiring artists like yourself, there's always barriers and struggles that every female has that is so different to the male perspective.
Yeah. And like I think it almost makes us like stronger and more like willing to push and
Hmm.
more willing to show like we're just as good and want to do just as good as these people.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome,
That
like
is
to be
awesome.
able.
Yeah. So like you said, just to push and to keep going.
Yeah.
What kind of music do you primarily focus on? Because I think from what I recall is you are mostly into the country realm and you mentioned Taylor Swift.
Yeah. So I'm really, really, really into country music. That's kind of like my gambit. Um, I do try to play everything for everyone. I mean, like when we talked last, I was working in like an Alzheimer's and dementia unit. So
Mhm.
like obviously I was playing anything from like the 50s, the 40s, the 60s and stuff. So I have like a little bit of that. And then my parents grew up in the 80s, so my whole entire childhood was listening to the 80s. So I have a little bit of that. But yeah, I would definitely say like my niche is country.
Mhm.
And I just feel like there's something so happy and summery about country. And it's one of those things like everybody can get up and dance and like enjoy themselves. But yeah, that generally seems to be like my niche.
And would you say those interests, like I mentioned, you've done stuff on your own and now with the band, have those kind of come together, or they're kind of, I want to say like lines drawn, but you know, like as a solo artist, you can kind of have a little bit more control with the sound you want if you're not being managed or have a label, you know, all that
Yeah.
annoying stuff. But like when you're playing with the guys, do you feel like you're still doing the music that you want to do like on your own?
Yes. So I obviously have expanded because like it's a band. So now you're bringing in multiple interests into one collective unit. So like I've learned a ton of different music. We're kind of like a folksy country band. So I've learned a lot of music outside of that, but the guys have been super, super kind to me, and like whatever I want to play, like they let me play and they'll all learn it. So like I said, I really wanted to do the Friends theme song.
Oh, no way.
And they were like, okay, that's fine. I was like, all right.
That's so amazing.
Like, they're super, super awesome. Like I do a lot of Melissa Etheridge, and I do, like I said, the Friends theme song, and like I do like chicken fried and all that fun stuff. So they're super, super awesome to helping me also pursue what I want to.
Yeah. Because you mentioned too, so these guys, like they all kind of had their own like things going on and then they came together. Is that what I understand?
Yep.
So it's kind of like they've all done their own thing. And like I said, you're kind of just starting out. So it sounds really awesome that you have that cushion of support, like you said, to kind of explore your own route.
Exactly. Like, I mean, some of them play, like my friend Bill, he drums with me every now and then. And I mean, he's in like 6 bands.
Wow, that's crazy.
And like, so he literally just does like the full whatever.
So what have you been getting into besides, like, you play the guitar, you've been songwriting a little bit, like we'll talk a little bit more about that, but have you learned more about like the recording process in terms of like producing, or is that something you're interested in getting into?
So I pay a guy to do it. But it was actually really, really interesting. I ended up getting so someone found me on Facebook, and they were like, hey, I have this soundtrack. This guy needs a girl on it. Like, we think you'd be a great fit. So I got to go into like the recording studio, and I had never been in a recording studio, which was like really cool. It was even cooler to get paid to be there, but like besides the fact. And I didn't realize like how much goes into recording. Like I didn't realize that when you record like a 5-second line over and over and over and over again until you get like exactly what they want. And then it was like cool because I learned a lot too about like harmonizing, which I had never really thought about. Because I always do my own thing. I've never really like worked on something with someone. And he was kind of teaching me about how like you need to put everything together. Like you can't put any of your own spin. It has to fit like a perfect puzzle piece. And it's kind of interesting because I've taken that into like my regular day when I'm listening to the radio to try and like teach myself like how to harmonize and do like that kind of stuff. And I would have never learned that if I hadn't been to like the recording studio.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, yeah, I haven't been in like a recording studio before either. And I have like a very like, I would say introductory understanding of recording and editing and whatnot. But yeah, like I think you can, like you said, you learn so much from just being in the actual environment where everything happens. And like you said, you probably wouldn't have had that happen if this experience didn't come your way.
Exactly. And now, I mean, like it kind of gave me the confidence to want to record my own music because like I had kind of kept my music to myself. Because obviously your music is something that's so vulnerable, and so you never know how people are going to respond or what they're going to say about it. And being in the recording studio, I was like, you know what, no, like I want to get this like out. I want to put it on Spotify. Like I want to record this and put this out. And I wanted to have more experience in the recording studio.
Yeah, so what's that experience been like? I assume you write all of your songs, I assume. So like how has that been like? Do you feel like from all these experiences you've kind of been more inspired to write and to create?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like I had never really been into writing. In fact, I like consider myself to be like really bad at it. Um, and all of a sudden, like within like the past like year, 2 years, I think COVID has really changed my perspective of a lot of things.
Mhm.
And I just started to like sit down and write. And if I had thoughts or ideas, whether it was just a phrase or something someone said, like I was writing it down in my notes on my phone, or like I carry this little book. Here, I'll show you. I carry this little book that I like write everything in.
Mhm.
And like anytime I have like any kinds of thoughts. And it slowly has like created this whole entire like all these different songs. Some of them are finished, some of them are not, some of them I'm like still in like the process. But I ended up writing a song about a friend who like had passed away. I wrote a song about my mom.
Mhm.
I'm in the process of actually writing a whole entire song about my dad.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's called My Practice Boyfriend.
I think a lot of
um,
girls can relate to that as well.
exactly. And it's just been such an amazing thing. Like I know COVID's been really, really horrible for a lot of people, but I almost am so blessed that it happened because it made me sit down and realize like what I actually wanted.
Yeah, no, I can totally relate to that too. Like having that extra time when you just can't really do a whole lot or focus on
Mhm.
anything else or focusing energy on things like going to work or going out, you're kind of forced to sit with yourself a lot. And like you said, to focus on the things that you really enjoy and things that you're passionate about. And for you, that
Exactly.
was music and songwriting.
Right. And I mean, for me, like I was in such an interesting position because I had started my music journey a year prior to COVID hitting.
Hmm.
And I was playing out, like I was really doing so well. And then all of it was taken away from me.
Yeah.
Like it was awful. Like it was one by one, every single gig was taken away. And
It
it
sucks.
really made me sit back and be like, you know what, like this is what I want in my life. Like when it was taken away and all of a sudden I couldn't do it anymore, it was like pushed me
Mhm.
even more to do it.
Yeah. And now you mentioned you're doing gigs like almost like every day, like 3, 4 times a week at this rate, even more so. Like, do you ever get tired? Like when you do your nail job and then you have to go to a gig and you're out till 2 a.m. Like, do you ever
Oh
get
yeah.
like tired of it?
Oh yeah. I have days where I want to melt and just like sit and just cry because I'm just so tired.
Hmm.
But when you're like there and you're doing your music and people are responding so passionately to you, you like get like this newfound like push
Hmm.
where you're like, this is amazing. Like these people are listening to me and they like me and I want to keep doing this. Like I want to keep pushing. And I've been really lucky too, because like a lot of my clients at my nail job come and see me at my gigs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like I see them, I'll do their nails like during the day, and then all of a sudden at night, I'm like, hey, how's it going? Like,
It's a
I
good
just did your
marketing
nails.
tactic when you think about it, because then you could easily mention it.
It's such a great marketing tactic. And like a lot of people, like when they come into the nail salon, they like want to talk to you, they want to know about you.
Hmm.
Like, and a lot of times, like I have a big tattoo on my arm, which like tends to be a
Hmm.
big selling factor if I like music.
Yeah.
And it generally like pushes people to all of a sudden like ask me about it.
Hmm.
And my coworkers are so incredibly helpful too. Like yesterday I was working and my coworker Linda was like, Bryce has a beautiful voice. Like out of nowhere, I was like, thanks,
Oh,
Linda.
that's sweet.
And like just starts like all these conversations with all these different people.
What is the tattoo, if you don't mind me asking? It looks really cool.
Oh, so I don't know if I can get it on the camera, but
Yeah, I can see a little bit. Yeah.
so this is my guitar.
Okay.
So it's like a black Yamaha.
Hmm.
And then my strap actually has roses on it. So I got roses.
Okay.
And then these are actually like song lyrics. But it's all like the music of it.
Yeah.
So my favorite song of like all time, like it's like my anthem, is Closer to Find by the Indigo Girls.
Hmm.
And for me it became like this thing that whenever I was feeling down, I listened to it because the lyrics are the less I seek my source for some definitive, the closer I am to find.
Hmm.
And then at the beginning, it also says, darkness has a call that's insatiable, and lightness is hard to hear, which is just basically about like you focus on all the bad things that people say to you, and sometimes it's hard to focus on all the good.
Right.
And so, I mean, I have had people come at me about like, you went to college, why aren't you using your college degree? Like, why are you doing nails? Why are you doing music? Like, that's not a career. Like,
Yeah.
all these other things. And they're really, really aggressive. And so sometimes you fall into these pits where you're like, I should be using my college degree. What am I doing? Like, this is no career. Like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. But then on the other hand, you have all these people who are like, this is such an amazing thing. That's such a great thing that you have, and you should pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
And so Closer to Fine has like been my thing. And that's why I got, the less I seek my source for some definitive, the closer I am to Fine. So the less I start listening to everybody and listening to myself, the closer I am to Fine.
That's really cool. I love that. I really like that. And and have you, because you mentioned this too, this is really interesting, like those kinds of expectations / views people put on you, did you ever believe them? Or were there times that you had your doubts where you're like, I don't know if I should be doing this, or can I do this?
Absolutely. I mean, like, it's so easy to fall to what people's expectations are of you and what people think you should be doing. Because let's be honest, I mean, music is very non-conventional. Like, I want to move to Nashville. I want to pursue music. I want to see, like, give it a try. I'm 24. I'd be stupid to not try.
Yeah.
And people really, they think they know everything, and they think that they have a right to tell you what is best for you when it's not actually best for you. And it does become a lot. There are times when I have to like sit back and remind myself, like, they don't know me. They met me for a minute, 30 minutes, and they're trying to give me life advice. And this is what makes me happy. And I'd be, again, like I said, it would be stupid to not pursue it.
Yeah.
And I don't like kids, so it'd be bad to go into teaching.
Yeah, that's a hurdle, isn't it? That's a big one.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, might not. I think you might be doing the right thing here then.
Yeah, right.
I want to know too, and this is like such a basic, interview question, but do you have like a, the typical thing is like a 5-year plan? Like, what essentially are you like working for? Like, do you see yourself like releasing more music? Like, you're gonna start now, you said. Do you see yourself like putting out an album, or like going, like being like a bigger tour artist, or like do you kind of want to stay more like in the local scene? Like, what are you kind of feeling?
So I guess I have more of like a 3-year plan.
That's fine.
So my goal is I want to be down in Nashville in like 2.5 years. Just to kind of like experience and live somewhere else. I've always lived in Massachusetts. I've never left here. So I really want to go down and experience. And one of the main reasons I got my nail tech is so that I could do nails during the day while I'm down there. So I have like a job to like pay the bills. And then at night I can pursue music. I'd love to put out an album. I only have like a couple songs right now, so I think it would be more of like an EP kind of thing. But I'd love to get it like recorded and put out like on Spotify or iTunes and kind of share that. In terms of like being a headliner, I mean, who wouldn't want to be a headliner? Like, that means like you've made it. You have hit the peak. But for me, like I would be happy to be like an opener for someone. So I'm on tour, I'm singing my music, I'm playing in front of people, I'm meeting new people, I'm traveling the world and doing like that kind of thing. And I'd be happy.
Yeah. That's like, that's awesome. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's and then like too, sometimes when you're like an opener, you can still have like a normal life where if you're walking down the street, no one knows who you are.
I can see that.
And like you can like still live like this ordinary life.
So yeah, and you kind of want a little bit of fame, but not too much fame, it sounds like.
Exactly. Like I still want to be able to go to like Chipotle and not be bombarded, but like then also be doing music and like touring and doing all this other stuff.
Have you ever thought about who you would want to like tour with? Like any artists that really stand out to you if you got there?
If I ever were to like make it, I would want to either tour with Lauren Elena because
Hmm.
I think she's so incredibly
She's really
talented.
up and coming too. Yeah.
Big time. I saw her when she like opened for a bunch of like these big names and like there was like no one in the stadium because no one cared. And like I was mesmerized by her.
Hmm.
And so like definitely her or like a Luke Combs or something. Like
Mm.
those are probably like two of my big inspirations like in music.
Hmm.
When I listen, like if I were to open for Luke Combs, I would know I've made it.
Yeah. He's huge. He's a big guy in country right now.
Exactly. But I definitely like Lauren Elena is like I love her.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not a country person really. I like appreciate country music, but I know
Yeah.
who these people are. So trust me, I'm following. I got you.
Okay.
Like I know
Absolutely.
something. I know something
Yeah.
a little bit here and there.
Hey, it's not for everyone, but as long as you have an appreciation for it.
Oh yeah, like I always say I won't put it on and I can like tolerate it when somebody else puts it on. After a while, I'm kind of like, all right, my tolerance is up. But there
Hmm.
are like, I appreciate like any genre of music really because I just love music in general. So I would never
Yeah,
like bash a country artist. Like that's not like me.
right. That's like my boyfriend puts on stuff in the car, and I'll be like, okay, this is fine. This
So
is fine.
do you have like different
Exactly.
tastes then?
Big time. Like I'm really into like country or I love like emo pop punk or metal.
Hmm.
And he's like total like Beatles, Rolling Stones,
Oh
like
geez.
and so like we fight a little bit on who gets to pick the music in the car. But I mean like we're both like appreciative of music because he's a guitar player as well. So
Okay.
like we'll sit and listen to it, but then we'll be like, okay, my turn.
Huh. Do you ever like do anything together with music or do you kind of like to keep that separate?
Not yet. We've only been seeing each other for about like a month and a half.
Okay, so
Um,
it's soon, yeah.
yeah, but he's like super sweet. He like really, really wants to like come to the gigs and he was like, I'll learn anything you want, like, and we can play together. Like, so he's like really, really sweet and like supportive.
Yeah. And he gets it if he's like doing music too, He might not be doing it to the same level as you, I assume, but still, like it's nice to have that appreciation.
Exactly. Music is universal, whether you're gigging out every single day or you're just sitting in your room playing.
Yeah, totally. Love that. So I kind of want to bring this full circle here and I want to ask like what is this experience meant like for you and your mom specifically? Because like I mentioned and like you shared, you both kind of had like a first interest slash like connection with music that really bursts like your whole talent with it. So
Mm-hmm.
how is your mom like reacted to all this like success that you're having?
Oh my God. My mother is so incredibly supportive and she's so excited. Like we'll literally be out and we'll be at a bar and say there's music. Like she'll all of a sudden say to later, she's a musician. And you know, like you that awkward moment where you're like, oh my God, mom, please stop talking.
Yeah.
Please stop talking. And but she like has been so supportive. I mean, my parents come to every single one of my gigs.
Hmm.
And they're the people who literally are up front and center, like rooting me on the whole entire time. And like I had a long conversation with my parents about Nashville and everything. And obviously, like my parents don't want me to leave because like they love me and they don't want me so far away.
Yeah,
But
it's
my
hard.
parents were the first people to be like, you know what, you need to try.
Yeah.
Like you need to go and like we'll support you and do whatever you need in order to get you to that point.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's been such a whirlwind. And again, I'm so incredibly lucky that my parents are so supportive. I mean, like I have friends whose parents, if they even tried to do anything like this, they would shut it down immediately or
Right.
they wouldn't even like show up for anything.
Right.
Whereas like my mom is the first person who's like giving my card out to anybody who will listen.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. I love that. That's really like I'm really happy for you. Like hearing all this, like this is really great news. It's really exciting to see where you're at in comparison to like a year and a half, 2 years ago. Like that's really awesome. So
That's
congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and so I just want to, thank you for coming on. This has been great. Why don't you tell people where they can find you and find your music, and also obviously if they're ever on the Cape, like maybe shout out some of your regular spots.
Yes, I got you. So if you're interested in listening to me, you can go on Facebook. I'm Bryce Elizabeth Official. And on Instagram, I'm Bryce Elizabeth 6. I use those two the most regularly.
Mhm.
Um, and then if you're ever on the Cape, like my regular spots are generally Cape Cod Beer, Quahog Republic Dive Bar, the Coonamessett Inn. And then if you're off Cape, I play at the Lakeville Country Club, generally almost every first Friday
Mhm.
of the month. Um, I play with a drummer then though, so it's kind of more of a rockin' atmosphere.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
But you can do it all, it seems. You got a little bit of everything.
exactly.
That's awesome. Well, Bryce, thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate it. And like I said, best of
Yeah.
luck to you and all your success.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. This was so much fun.